The Day the Lights Went Out, Part 2. The rally subsided, as they always did, and Zach left feeling more or less like he always had, until a lifelong fellow frontiersman confronted him on their pod ride back to the housing outpost. What did you think of that, Zach? You know my stance on pronounced poets and the like, Dylan. The only thing they are truly creative at is creating a waste of time. Yeah, but there's something else, Zach. What's that? I heard whispers that anyone working on Deck 9 should find a way to get out of work tomorrow. What do you mean, Dylan? I mean that you should call in sick. You know, Dylan, rather than just tell me, you should inform the project manager about this, or I will. Who do you think I heard this from, Zach? This goes much deeper than you can imagine. What's the problem anyways? You and I both know that the social elite lease prospective planets from the Frontier Project centuries in advance of our arrival. Why would they pay such a price, Zach, when we're taught that the unstable nature of organic systems is less conducive to the experience of life than a controlled environment? It's because it's not, Zach. It is the nature of change, the environmental stimulus, that gives us life. You're talking about seasons, right? What's pleasing about a system so out of control that the chaotic nature in which it orbits its non-uniform center creates weather? What you're talking about, Zach, is a concept that the majority who live in the interior don't even know about. They've never even seen a star. You can't look out. It's like a black hole. Only so the operations manager and his family spend more time off station than on. You know, Dylan, people are going to get hurt. Good, honest, hard-working people. Yeah, well, do you remember our work on that emergent planet Phoebe 20 years ago? They had the technology and know-how to do what we did, but had willingly chosen not to, Zach. Remember how the project was delayed several times while culturalizing the planet? Yeah, and they also had dispersed factions of people that were more animal than anything, Dylan. If they were so advanced, why hadn't they globalized the population? You're referring to the motto of Civilization 1, aren't you? Yes, the progress of a civilization is limited to the progress of all things it has come in contact with. To advance, we must advance all things. Zach, don't you get it? We are told that what we're doing is good. But what if it wasn't? What if I told you that millions died in a war on that planet for the planet's rights? That's no secret, Dylan. No one talks about it, but that doesn't mean no one knows. Besides, the war's over. I'm sure it wasn't the first, and I'm sure it won't be the last. You keep talking like this, Dylan, and you'll put yourself out of a job. You really want to live in entropy rather than intelligence? And how much should we give up? At what point of devolution should we stop? You don't get it, do you, Zach? Entropy is the intelligence, and the war isn't over, not yet. Not while there is light free to go where it chooses. It is in this ideal perfection that Civilization 1 promotes that we lose the sense of it. Anyways, I just thought you should know not to go to work tomorrow. We've been friends our whole working lives, and our families go beyond what I can see. I feel as though I was obligated to tell you, for not only your well-being, but for my happiness as well. Well, as much as I appreciate that, Dylan, I'm going to get a hold of the authorities. You say we're friends, but you're acting like someone I don't know. About contacting those authorities, you know, on a first-name basis, Zach, don't bother. I'm done with this, Dylan. It already sounds like you've convinced yourself out of a way of life. You want to know what life is like on a planet before we get there and domesticate it? A bunch of competing ignorant codes, killing each other, consuming each other, incorporating what the other was into what they are, convinced that what they are deserves to have what they have and what the other has. How is that any different than what we are, Dylan? The only difference is that we were the first to consume, and we will be the last. We are the ones to bring order to the code, Dylan. The rest of the flight home was silent, like the workday was. He was upset that it had turned out that way. The commute was usually one of the highlights of his day, a chance to socialize, to connect. The rest of the time he felt isolated, deserted, walled off from everything, only able to cross the expanse on the whole's time, but never his. When he got to his station, he thought about what Dylan said. He knew he was serious, and knew he had to tell someone who could do something. After he cleansed, he would contact an authorities channel. He needed to think. He always enjoyed the cleanse. It had been designed to be as refreshing as it was purposeful, as refreshing the body and mind had purpose in the productivity of things. He stripped and tossed his garments into the upkeep, something that he felt was too much work, and he had been saving up for a self-stripping unit upgrade. It could dress you as well, but his last big purchase was on his cleansing unit, and as soon as he stepped in, he remembered why he had. 1 million or so minute ribbon-like extensions exposed themselves out of the cylindrical walls to the chamber. He had felt the tip of one against the unit's precautions on install, and the little point, so minuscule, made him bleed upon the slightest touch. Though the machine in operation had so much control that you could move however while in it, and it would react to appropriately move with your body. The machine did what it was called, cleansed you. The tiny extensions covered your body and massaged away all impurities from your being. He had read about how people had once used water, a very wasteful and less stimulating procedure that promoted growth of unwanted organisms and led to the transport of said things throughout the society. The ribbons somewhat looked like water, though, in their fluidity, though they were metallic. Why was Dylan wanting to give this up, he thought, as he felt the most precise movements encircling and excavating dead material from the most delicate roots to each of his hairs, running along the projection of each strand until it felt as smooth as mercury looked. After the fleeting moment had passed, being lost in the ecstasy, he remembered he had to get a hold of someone about tomorrow. Once done, he would get to enjoy a moment on the visualizer. He hailed his home's operating system and directed his intention toward communicating a message to his superiors. But the projection showed no connection. Odd. Something he had only experienced on a temporary outpost until they could get the stellar wind in order. But there is no way that's what was going on here. They almost had this entire system's orbit under control. He wondered if he should go to work tomorrow.